Hey, sports parents. If we haven't met, my name is Jonathan Corona and I'm the host of the show. Today, we're joined by Jackie Reyneke. Jackie was a three-sport athlete in high school before playing basketball at Princeton, where she also got a degree in psychology. She's now the founder of Power Forward, a mindset coaching practice that helps student athletes thrive under pressure, both on and off the field. In our conversation today, we talk about her journey as a collegiate athlete, from losing her best friend her freshman year to sustaining injuries and having her dream not live up to what she thought it'd be. We also discuss the mental health landscape and how parents can support their kids' mental health, both in sports and life in general. Before we get to that conversation, if you like the show today, we're going to ask that you rate us and review us wherever you're listening. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, writing up a small review would be a huge help. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Most of all, if this episode helps you in any way, the best thing you can do is share it with a friend. With all of that out of the way, here's my conversation with Jackie Reyneke. We're here with Jackie. Jackie, go ahead and tell everybody hi.
Hi, everyone.
So you and I first met a few months ago, and before we get into all the things that you have done and are doing, we typically ask for you to tell about your kids, but you're not a mom yet. So I want to take a minute to let's shout out and hype up your parents. What were your parents like growing up playing sports?
They were the best. My mom, well, both of them were my biggest cheerleaders, and my brother too. But my mom was definitely that one in the stands worrying and cheering us on and hosting pasta parties and, being like typical soccer mom. And then my dad was always coaching. But he didn't really know fully what he was doing. It was more like,
Every other youth dad coach that's just trying to help
yeah.
out.
I mean, it's funny because he's from South Africa. So he, grew up doing track and field and rugby and cricket. So he came here and saw soccer and basketball and was just like, all right, everyone have fun. So, yeah, they were just like, hyping me up all the time and, never putting too much pressure on me, which I really appreciate.
All right. So when we first met, you told me a little bit about your journey while playing basketball at Princeton. And it's been a foundational piece of who you are today. And I think it's safe to say there were as many, if not more downs than there were ups, probably.
Yeah.
We'll let you get into that in just a second. But can you share a little bit about some of those things you experienced while in school and how that has shaped you now into adulthood?
Yeah, I mean, I am forever grateful for my experience at Princeton, especially my coach Banghart and the coaches there. I've had a few different ones. Coach Flores, too, stands out. But it was hard. I went from being in high school, kind of excelling in all the sports that I tried. So soccer, basketball, track and field. Our teams were phenomenal. So it, it kind of came easy to me.
And I'm
Sports.
guessing Big Fish, you were one of the better, if not best
Yeah.
players on those teams too.
Yeah, I'd say so. And then you get to college, and all of a sudden, everyone's the best from their high schools, and everyone's the smartest. And it was really, really a big adjustment for me. And honestly, I'm so grateful that I stayed close to home because I did go home a lot and I was with my parents a lot. And maybe, if I went somewhere far away, I would have been forced to kind of get used to it. But it was hard. And I had my best friend, Madison, she went to Penn and ran track. And we talked about transferring or going to play soccer again together somewhere else or going to big school with, a big football team that we could cheer on. But then our freshman year, she died by suicide. And it just totally rocked my world, and I really struggled from there. And that's really what inspired me to study psychology. And so I fell in love with the field. I wanted to figure out how the brain worked, especially as it applies to sports and, college athletics. And I wrote my thesis on college mental health, college athletics mental health. And had a lot of injuries too. I had a concussion. I broke all sorts of bones. it kind of, looking back, it felt like a mess. But I also look back and think about my family and my friends and my coaches and the people that really helped me get through. And I'm proud of myself that I made it through 4 years of playing. And then finally, senior year, I was injury free. And I think it was the best year in terms of my basketball because I just kind of let go and had fun. And so, yeah, it was kind of like a roller coaster, but I learned a ton about myself. I gained tools and skills along the way, and it has inspired what I'm doing now and helping others.
So your freshman year, after Madison passed away, things are hard sports-wise. Things are hard life-wise. You just lost your best friend. Like, what was the support there? Because mental health in sports, mental health in general is so much different than the support systems are so much different than it was even 5 years ago. So like, were you walking through that by yourself, or did you actually have a support system around you outside of your family?
Well, I can't say I blame anyone because people didn't really have the tools. Like coaches weren't really trained in mental health, even just 10 years ago. I do like my athletic trainer, Jody, she was incredible. I spent a lot of time with her because of my injuries.
There's the joke that trainers are actual therapists. Like,
oh yeah,
that's what they do. They tape things up, but they are therapists.
They take so much on, and we all say we love Jody, but really, like, I spent a lot of time with her, and she helped me, and she also, I think, knew that there was more going on beyond my injuries. So I got a bad concussion, and I got them a few different times, but then I also was dealing with depression, so it's like, where are those symptoms? It was murky. But yeah, Jody, my parents, again, being close to home was a blessing in disguise. And then also my teammates, like those are my best friends. And again, they didn't fully have the language or understand what was going on, but they were there for me. And they, were just always checking in on me, always spending time with me. I would sleep over in their dorms. So I'm lucky that I had a great support system, but I'm also proud of myself for leaning on them too, because that takes courage too, to open up and lean on the people around you.
Absolutely. Now, having gone through the training you have, looking back, because I think most parents probably don't know this, like we know that head injuries are more common than we believed they were when we were growing up.
Yeah.
But we still fully don't know the impacts of it. So with your experience, where is that line between like symptoms from a concussion and mental health issues that we need to be paying attention to in a different way? Because both of them are important, but if we don't understand where it's coming from, we're not going to be able to help.
Right. Yeah. And, I'm not a medical professional, so I can't tell you like and I think it's still being studied extensively. Absolutely. Too. We don't have the studies. We don't.
There's so much we don't with the amount of stuff that we've learned in the last 10 years. There's still so much we don't know.
Right. And I think too, I've learned that it's cumulative. So when I was in high school, I was the tallest. I played basketball, but on the soccer field, I was a lot taller than everyone else, and I was told to stand in front of the goal and corner kicks and head the ball in, or be the first to the ball and head the ball. And we're seeing now, like, that's not great either. My mom always, she was like, I hate those headers. And yeah, it's part of the game, but, all of those headers and then getting hit in basketball and, it all compounds. So I would say, listen and think about the symptoms too. Like they are pretty similar, but if we treat everyone has mental health. It's like so this leads me to my next point. This awesome nonprofit, Same Here Global, their main point is that we hear often that, mental health affects 1 in 5 people, mental illness. When in reality, we all have brains. We all are dealing with mental health. It's really a 5 in 5 topic and something that we all need to be talking about. So if we think of it more like holistic, like, okay, what are your feelings? What is going on in your brain? Then it's less of like, is it a concussion, or is it depression, or is it anxiety? Like, let's just figure out, let's talk about it. Let's all have a common language where we kind of give you the tools, give you the support and everything you need to kind of get through this hard time so that, we can figure out what's going on deep down.
That's really good. Because, I mean, my bent, I'm the what caused it, let's get to that, and then we can figure out a solution. But what you're saying is like, let's talk about the symptoms, and then we can dig in, and then we'll get there eventually. Whereas me, I'm the type of person that's like, I want to figure out the root like way over here before dealing with the symptoms. So it's like, it's interesting to hear that approach of like, let's talk about the symptoms first. Let's figure out let's help you out, and then we'll slowly pull the onion back, where I'm just like, get the freaking hatchet out, cut the onion open and figure out what the issue is. And then we can fix the rest of it.
Yeah, there's something to say about both sides of that. But no, for sure. But like, it's hard because when you tear an ACL, you have to get surgery, you have to do X, Y, and Z to move forward. With concussions, like, it's your brain you're dealing with, so there's going to be other complications along the way, and I know it all kind of gets murky. So yeah, it's important to think about the whole person and like what else is going on in your world. And then even with the ACLs too, like there's a lot of mental side to injuries in general too. So like we need to take a look at that also, and not just necessarily be like, okay, you need to do this, this, and this to get back on the field. Like, okay, well maybe I don't feel like going back on the field quite yet. Like, there's a part of me that's hesitant about that. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting conversation.
My 10-year-old daughter, she rides horses occasionally. And it's one of the, like, it's so crazy to me because this girl doesn't like dirt. She's scared of bugs, but she'll put on jeans and a pair of cowboy girl boots and a helmet and jump on a horse. And somehow
awesome.
It's different. But she almost fell off about a year ago. And she was 8 or 9 at the time when that happened. And so we went a span back in the spring or the fall and winter and spring, from November until like May, where we were just too busy. She couldn't get back on a horse. And her first time riding it, I noticed in the arena, because like, I had dropped her off for horse riding before, like I do at soccer. Like she wants me to drop her off at soccer. Horse riding, she wants me to stay there. It's a whole different conversation. But I was watching her and I noticed that she wasn't jogging as much as some of the other girls while they were riding. And I asked her about it. And she's like, well, LB, name of the horse, he'd start going a little faster than I thought. So I'd slow him down, and he wasn't going fast at all. But because she had almost fallen off and it had been a while, she was scared of that. And what we realized talking to the trainer there as well, like that's normal. It's very normal once you have that potential for falling that you're a little scared, especially if you have that time. So it's like she just needs to get back on the horse just to walk before she can do that. And she said that, and it made so much sense because of course she was still scared. Of course she needed more time. And so we did a couple more lessons. She did a horse camp. They do a 3-day camp in the summer. And during camp, she was so much more comfortable and had success because we baby stepped it back. But for some reason, when we have injury in sport, we wonder like, why is that kid not running as hard? They've been out, their ACL surgery was a year ago. They've been cleared. Why aren't they playing as hard?
Yep.
Well, there's still some fear there until you get in there and do it.
Yep. Yeah. I would say I had a lot of that, especially with the head injuries. But I think too, like, it's this, and this is what I do when I'm teaching confidence too, like building confidence. Like, let's focus on what you feel like you're really good at right now. And let's do that over and over so that you feel confident doing it. And then we slowly try new things. We slowly introduce new things, and that's how we kind of build and then get you to a place where you're feeling good. But totally, with coming back to sport, like there's such a mental element of it that we need to pay attention to. And we need to, ask questions and be curious about how our kids are feeling and what even they're thinking about when they're going back to sport. Like, do they want to play the sport anymore? Like, stuff like that. And because, I dealt with this my whole life too. Like, I was really good at basketball. So then, like, there's a tension around it and everyone's expecting me to come back to play basketball.
Was
and, like,
basketball your favorite sport? It was what you were best at, but was it your favorite?
No, my favorite sport was soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I talked to so many multi-sport athletes that their best sport was not their favorite.
It was my best sport when I had to choose what I wanted to do. And then I think I got better at soccer with time.
Okay. The reason I asked that is because you're bouncing back from these injuries, and
right.
It wasn't even your favorite sport that you're bouncing back to.
Right. It's hard. And then I'm like dealing with this, like, okay, there's one hand of me wants to just kind of give up and, move on with my life and focus maybe on playing club soccer or doing something else. And I even call it give up, but it's really not that. It's like moving on. And the other side of me is like, oh, but I have to prove myself and I have to prove something and I have to impress and make everyone proud who have rooted for me my whole life. And there's these expectations and this pressure that really I put on myself. Like, everyone would be proud of me no matter what. But yeah, it's a really tough thing to balance as a young person who's not fully developed. And I think it's just important. And I asked my parents ahead of this recording, I was like, what advice would you give yourself? And my mom said exactly that. She was like, you really got to make sure your kid enjoys and wants to do what they're doing. Just because they're really good at it doesn't necessarily mean that they're passionate about it or want to pursue it. So, yeah. I guess I like basketball enough to push through, but I don't know.
But on that front, like, we focus so much on college, and you were good. Statistically, you were great. You were part of the 2% of kids who go on to play in college. So statistically, you were the best of the best. Mm-hmm. But then you got to Princeton, and that was supposed to be that mountaintop. And then all this other stuff happens, and like, you lose your best friend, you get injured, you have mental health struggles that you may have never had before. And I've got to think at some point you were left in a dorm room thinking, this is supposed to be everything I wanted, and it sucks.
Oh, yeah. It's spot on. Spot on.
So what's that like? I mean, I felt it in my own way, but it wasn't athletics related. It was in other situations. So, like, just so parents can hear what that's like, because the chances of their kid hitting that at some point is pretty high. Like, mm-hmm. What was that experience like, and what were you feeling and thinking in that dorm room?
Yeah. I have a vivid memory of my freshman dorm room, pacing, and my chest would get tight, and I would just feel my stomach would really hurt, and I would just feel like I don't want to go. I don't want to go to practice. I don't know what to do. And I was stuck in my own head, and I felt like I couldn't really tell that to anyone. I didn't know who to tell that to. And there were mental health resources available, but I had to wait 2 weeks to get in with the therapist that the whole rest of the school was trying to get in with. So it just felt like I didn't have the tools and the resources. And I wish that I had someone or something to just release that to. And yes, I cried to my parents a lot. But then I'd get myself there, and I think I did find things that, motivated me, like my friends. My teammates were my best friends. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get there. I'll be with my best friends. It'll be fine. And I would get there and start playing basketball, and it would be fine. Something about the anxiety of just getting myself there was really hard for me. And then, I think it was the expectations I had for myself. I wasn't a starter anymore. I wasn't playing all the time. I was injured. It's just a a lot was thrown at me, and I wish I had more resources, or I wish I knew that I could open up more to my coaches or my teammates about it. But it was hard. And I think, again, like just having that language and being curious with your kids about what's going on can be really powerful. Like, we don't need to feel like we need to fix everything. Like, just being there and asking questions can be really helpful too. But yeah, it was, I still like going back to campus. It's fun and I love seeing my teammates, but I still get that feeling of like, oh, gotta go to practice or gotta get ready for a game.
I moved back to my hometown in 2019. I'd been gone for 15 years, and I still remember the anxieties the first time I rolled up to my high school. I still remember like the first time I saw certain certain people I graduated with, like in the grocery store or like on the soccer field, because their kids are this and so like when you talk about that vivid memory of the dorm room, like, nope. Yeah. Like, I think all of us listening to this have those moments in our own ways. Yeah. Like, we go back to it. It's like, okay. Yeah. Like, my daughter's first year of dance, we did the winter performance in my high school gym. Oh. And it was the first time I had gone in that gym since I graduated school. So it was like legitimately 16 years later. And I just remember walking back into that gym, and it's like, there's those feelings all over again. Okay. All right. We got some processing to do here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot for young people who have other things going on too. They're not just athletes. Sport. You're also trying to make friends. You're also like on social media looking at all your friends from home who seemingly are having the best time ever at college.
Are posting the highlights of their college experience.
Yep. You have school, like getting a degree. I thought I wanted to do pre-med, which was not for me. So it's just like you're figuring out all these things, and it's just a lot of pressure we put on ourselves. So it's important to just take a step back sometimes. Yeah.
That's good. Hey, before we continue with Jackie and we talk about how we can help our athletes mentally, we're going to take a quick break and share some resources with you, and then we'll be back with Jackie in just a second.
Have you ever showed up at the wrong field at the right time? Hey, my name's Zoe, and I've got 3 athletes on club and travel teams, and that's happened to me one too many times. So 2 years ago, I created a new app called Orgo, exclusively for sports parents. It imports schedules from all the different team apps, as well as your personal calendar to keep the entire family, including your kids, on the same page. Go to orgohq.com, download directly from the App Store or Google Play, and make Orgo part of your winning routine. Get the right people to the right places on time.
Hey, it's Jonathan. If you haven't signed up for the Weekend Playbook yet, why not? It is a short, no-fluff email that shows up every Friday morning with actual useful tips for parents like you so you can stay grounded before, during, and after the game. And right when you sign up, we'll send you 4 incredible resources from Positive Coaching Alliance just for subscribing. The link is down in the show notes. Just go subscribe. All right, welcome back to the show. We're back with Jackie here. I want to shift gears and talk about what you're doing now. We've talked about how you got here, and I want to talk about what you're doing now because I think it's really important. I think this is the part that's going to be super helpful. So your business that you've started is designed to help kids set meaningful goals, to overcome challenges, and to really thrive in everything they do, both athletically and just as human beings. But in order for those kids to do that, they've got to have parents who believe in the mental side of all of this. Like, it doesn't work if mom and dad aren't bought in. So what's the core message you hope every parent hears about mental health in athletics?
Yeah, and thank you. That was a beautiful explanation of what I do.
It was straight from your website. So,
but yeah, it's no, but I'm really passionate, and I'm being that person, hopefully, that I wish I had during high school and during college. And, you know, just providing the tools, providing the resources, because your kids have everything within them. It's just a matter of, you know, teaching them and helping them like realize those aha moments. So I think for parents, it's really important to be proactive. I often hear parents tell me that they don't want to plant unnecessary seeds in their kids' heads. Like, this is what anxiety might feel like. This is what, might go on in your head when you have an injury. And it's like, if we're so afraid of doing that, then once our kids get to that point where it's such a hard, seemingly impossible point in their life, then all of a sudden they don't have the tools and they don't know what to do. So the more we can talk about this and have open conversations, and there's so much language and so many resources out there that you can start having those open conversations with your student athletes, the better, because the more prepared they'll be when they do, and they will come across hard times in their life. So I think just, being more proactive, and I'm grateful for you and this space that you're providing, because I think if parents are on here, they want the best for their kids, and they want to help. So it's hard, and I'm not a parent yet, but I can imagine it's a really, really hard job. So just know that there are resources,
One of the things you were telling me about, as we've talked before we recorded, is that what you've kind of stumbled into is this balance of half sports, half life, because so much of what we learn in sports actually applies to life, and so many things that we learn in life apply to sports. And that's why I talk so much about how winning's not the goal of youth sports. Winning a game is not the primary goal of what we're doing in these games and in these practices. What we're really trying to do is develop tools for life.
Yep.
So can you talk a little bit about how those two things, how you're seeing it with younger athletes, high school athletes, where when they learn it in life, they get it in sports. And when they learn it in sports, they get it in life, and how those two kind of balance out.
Yeah, it's awesome to see. I love working with student athletes, is what I call it. I basically high school, college, even middle school. It's really, I work with anyone who is able to grasp the idea of a value, because we start with that. What are your values? And then relate that to everything in life. And because sports are such a big part of, life for these kids, we think about the lessons that you're learning. And I think coaches who understand that, and parents too, who can take a step back and be like, you know what, it's okay that maybe you didn't score today. That is actually teaching you that you need to be a good teammate when you're not maybe playing your best, and you need to cheer them on and be the loudest person on the sideline for your teammates, because they need that right now, and then they'll do that for you when it's your turn. So it's that translates so beautifully into life as well. And it's this awesome opportunity that we have to teach kids the value of being a good teammate, cheering each other on, but then also
how hard was that for you to learn?
Sorry?
Going from best of the best to injured at the end of the bench.
Yeah.
How hard was that of a transition for you to learn?
Really hard, but at the same time, it was kind of all right, I'm stuck here. I might as well make the most of it. And I give credit to my coaches and my parents and my brother, who have taught me that along the way, that you know what, I can't be on the court right now. It's not my time. This is just not going to work out for me right now. So I might as well be the loudest person on the bench, the best teammate, the person everyone can go to off the court. And that's what I, pride myself on. I definitely was that person, and I was positive, even though times were tough for me. And it was hard, but I hung my hat on that.
I ask because it's so obvious to me in hearing you talk about it, and in the conversations we've had outside of this interview, you wouldn't be so adamant about teaching this had you not experienced yourself.
Exactly.
And so it's just for me, it's really interesting to hear the transition from great athlete to it got stripped away and now I have to be teammate. And then seeing today how you're able to use that to help others learn that earlier than you did.
Yeah.
And I think that's how life is supposed to work. Like, we learn something and then we teach the next generation so that they don't have to pay our dumb tax, that they can learn from it. And so it's just like, I didn't mean to interrupt you a second ago. That's what I was thinking of as you were talking, because like, I wasn't a very good athlete growing up. And so like the only reason I made the JV baseball team as a freshman, because I was going to get cut as a freshman, was because the coaches knew I wanted to learn how to coach, and they knew that I would be that guy on the end of the bench cheering everybody on.
Right.
And so like, that was the only reason I had a space on that team. And that led to something else. It led to something else, led to something else. And so I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for that. So like, just learning that and helping others experience that, I think, is such a huge thing, because as parents, we naturally want our kids to be the best on the field.
Right.
And we want them to be the contributor. But in reality, there are so many other ways to contribute that aren't necessarily showing up on the stat sheet.
Mm-hmm. And it's thinking about the controllables. So I love defense because it felt like something I was more in control of than my shot falling in the net. Like, there are certain parts of the game that you can pick up on, that you can, control more than maybe other parts of the game. So, and coaches love like seeing a good attitude, or someone who is the first to pick up their teammate when they're on the floor. Like, yeah, I mean, the same goes for starting my own business now. Like, I'm working through therapy now. You bring it up, but it's like, it's such a direct parallel of like my life in sport and now starting this business, where it's like, I'm putting so much pressure on myself to have everything figured out at once. It's like freshman year, like I'm starting my business.
And you're the professional.
Yeah.
Like, you've got, like, you have the psych degree from an Ivy League school.
Right.
And yet you're still going through this. So if you're the trained professional with the prestigious degree from the prestigious school, and you're still going through it, why do we get so shocked when our 13-year-old experiences hard times in the middle of their sport in 7th grade?
There you go. Yep. So.
All right. So on that front, like, as parents, what is our role in creating those healthy environments for our kids to feel safe through all of these emotions that they're dealing with, so that by the time they leave our house and go to college, they have the tools to work through the hard times? Because hard times are going to come regardless. You're starting a business. I'm 38 and I've had my business for 11 years. It's like, these hard times come. So how can we create the environment for our kids to learn the tools before they leave our house?
The golden question.
No pressure.
I wish I had an answer to just, I mean, yeah, it's a lot easier said than done, but I think just being there for your kids and being a good example for them. Like, when they get in the car after a game, what are you saying? What are you thinking? Is it about you or is it about the kid? Are you living vicariously through them, or are you being a sounding board for them? It's just like, I don't know, it makes me think of my parents a little bit and how they kind of navigated it all. Like, my dad, and I love him for this, he couldn't handle the comments and people chatting on the sidelines. So he took up photography and would take photos of my friends and me on the field. Incredible. And all the parents loved him because he took great photos of their kids.
And he didn't have to hear their
away from it all. And honestly, that was a great example for me, because I'm not going to listen to what all my friends are saying and complaining to the refs about. Like, no, let's focus on myself and the positivity I can bring to my team. So I think, just being a presence, I'll say this, being a presence and not too much of a pressure. I think it comes down to that, and in its simplest form, which, again, easier said than done.
Well, I think one of the things I knew intellectually, but have seen more personally and just from friends, like youth sports hold up a mirror to our own insecurities. And as parents, as adults. And so like when we see our kid get knocked down on the field or the court and the referee doesn't do anything about it, it reminds us of that time that something happened to us and the adult in the room didn't protect us as well. Mm-hmm. When our kid misses a shot and we know the emotion of the time that we let others down or that we didn't get the thing we wanted. And so like it reminds us of that. And so I think what we have to do as parents is realize that the reason we're so invested at times and the reason we do these crazy things on the sidelines is because we haven't worked through our own emotions. So we're projecting what we're feeling because it was buried deep in us. And now watching our kid experience a similar emotion has brought that out to light. So for us to be that presence you're talking about and not pressure, we've got to be self-aware enough to realize what's going on inside of us when those things are happening, or else we're going to project those emotions being stirred inside of us instead of being that steady presence and not the pressure on them.
Wholeheartedly agree. But it goes
That's chapter 3 of the Healthy Sports Parents book, by the way. So when that comes out, who knows when there's a whole chapter on that.
But same is true for life and relationships. Like a lot, I mean, we learned this in Psych 101, projection. It's like, take a step back, look at yourself in the mirror and think about, what's going on in your own life and how that's manifesting into other parts of your life. But yeah, I agree.
Self-awareness is one of the best gifts you can give your kids. If you can be self-aware about yourself and what's going on inside you and your bents and your triggers and all those things, it's one of the best gifts you can give your kids, because then they start noticing what happens in you, and like your kids can actually help you, and you can help them because it's just this modeling over and over. It's like my wife has told my kids, hey, I want to do that with you. I'm just a little overstimulated right now. Give me 10 minutes.
That's
and then
awesome.
just let me sit here for 10 minutes and then we'll go watch TV or we'll play that game or whatever. But
so cool.
By being self-aware, that's what's going on in her life. It's giving them permission and setting an example for like, oh, it's not that I don't want to do this. I just need a second to gather myself and then I'll do it. And so again, it's breaking down those stigmas that maybe were there when we were growing up because people didn't know the difference.
Right. And you want to seem like you have it all together and everything's fine. And I will say too, I notice right now with social media, a lot of parents are like, get off your phone. Like I lived without my phone. I just like knocked on my neighbor's door and we played outside all day. Like you should get like that. But that's not their reality right now. Like being on your phone is kind of how you keep in touch with your friends. And
I grew up on AOL Instant Messenger. The only difference is I had to sit at a big desktop computer, and and our kids have those on an iPad or an iPhone now. It's the same exact thing I grew up on.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's true. It's like your kids don't want to, like, that's not helpful. And so maybe instead go to them and be like, what is it like having to be like feeling like you have to be on your phone all the time? Like being curious again, like going back to that and asking questions and trying to understand their world can be really powerful, and just, taking that perspective shift, I think is really helpful too. So again, easier said than done, but
yeah, that should be the title of this episode. Easier said than done. All right. So we got to let you go in just a second. I got 2 questions that I ask at the end of every episode. First one, what have I not asked you that you think parents need to hear the answer to?
I would say social media is a big topic. So as I just said, like it's layered. It can be a tool, especially in sports, for recruiting, but it can also add a lot of pressure. So just being curious with your kids about why they're using it or why they feel like they need to use it. Like, Are all their friends making plans? And having an open conversation about it. And then, if it's becoming a distraction, like you mentioned with your wife, like explaining why you think a certain way about social media. And I would say, again, just being curious and knowing that you don't need to relate perfectly to your kids, but you can try.
Yeah. We're firmly in the no social media till high school stage. Our kids are in 3rd and 5th grade now, but over the summer, my daughter always asks if she can get CapCut. Like she keeps asking over and over, can she get CapCut? Because her friends, and it's not to post anywhere. She just wants to make the silly CapCuts and save them. But over the summer, CapCut changed their terms and conditions to say that they can use any content made for anything for any amount of time. And I told Liv that. She goes, "Oh." I was like, "Yeah, like even if you don't post it, like what you agree to use it is that they can take anything you create and use it for anything they want." She's like, "Oh, okay."
Right.
But explaining that to her at 10 years old, like she understood. It wasn't just a no.
Right.
It was a, here is why. Like,
right.
I want you to understand why we're doing this. And we've told them, like, I understand that your friends are going to get on social media before you. I'm telling you early so that when you get there, your friends are going to be there. But I have read too many studies to know the detriments. And I know what I experienced in uncontrolled social media environments growing up.
Yep.
So it's like, this is to protect you. I know you're not going to like it, but I just want you to know this is what you're going to experience in a few years.
Right. And setting expectations.
Yeah.
Right. I love that.
All right. Last question. We always like to end on an encouragement. So for the parents who are going through this, who have never raised this kid at this age in this sport ever before, what is your encouragement to them this week as they go through this journey?
I guess I mentioned this before too, but your presence matters more than any pressure that you might feel like you need to put on your kid. There's a fine line between encouragement and pressure, and it's important to remember that you're raising more than an athlete. You're raising resilient, wholehearted people, and they need you in their lives to feel like they can, take on this wild ride of life.
Awesome. Jackie, where can people find more about you and work with you or just learn about what you're doing?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This has been an awesome conversation. Powerforward.coach is really across all platforms. So my website, Instagram, Facebook, powerforward.coach. And then my email too, feel free to reach out, Jackie@powerforward.coach. Kept it simple.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's it for today's episode. As a reminder, if you want to see more from Jackie or work with her, you can go to powerforward.coach or find her on social media. All of those links are down in the show notes below. If you want your weekend playbook, head to healthysportsparents.com/playbook or click down in the show notes for the link. If you like the show today, I'm going to invite you to subscribe on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, it'd be a huge help for you to write up a small review. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button as well. If this episode has helped you in any way, the best way you can help us grow this platform is sharing this episode with a friend. Most of all, I hope you enjoy your time with your kid watching them play the sport they love. Have a great week, everybody. We'll talk again soon.